Hey, welcome back to our living room.
Yep, I'm Greg
And I'm Julie
Gorman.
Gorman.
Hey, we just got back from a great conference in, where were we?
We were in Paris.
Paris? We were in Paris. How could I forget Paris?
We even saw the Eiffel Tower
We did get to see the Eiffel Tower.
in Tennessee.
It was Paris, Tennessee. But I got to tell you, I think the Eiffel Tower and Paris in Tennessee is probably better than the Paris, right?
Absolutely. We had a lot of fun, met great people, really people who are pressing into their marriage purpose. And while we were there, we were asked probably at least a dozen times when we were going to write a book on parenting, which I found comical.
Seeing how we just brought that idea to y'all last week.
Yeah.
And we didn't mention it at the conference.
No.
But a lot of folks approached us, so it's pretty cool. So we're still actually in a parenting series that we're doing for y'all. But we're going to change it up just a little bit. We're still going to talk about parenting. But of course, it's Valentine's Day week.
Right.
And so we have to kind of talk about Valentine's Day and love and flirting and all those fun things just a little bit on Valentine's week. And so you might notice that the title of this message is, what in the world does flirting have to do with parenting? Well, I'm going to tell you something. It's got a whole lot to do with parenting.
Right.
And so let us just read just a little bit. Jules, you want to read from the
So, Married
the book?
for a Purpose, we're taking a habit because there's a lot of pressure around Valentine's Day. It's like, what do you do? What don't you do? What do you buy? How much do you spend? And poor Greg, he can't buy me roses because I think it's a waste to spend like 4 times what you would normally spend for roses. So he can't
Sometimes
buy
I buy them anyhow.
me. You do. And I'm not really into chocolate, so
She doesn't like chocolate.
I
What's
really
up with that?
don't. I know.
I like chocolate. She can
Yeah.
get me chocolate. I'm in. You know what I'm saying? But anyway.
But there's just a lot of pressure around it, and then it's got to be the date. So we're going to talk about dating your spouse and prioritizing your relationship and flirting. So I'm just going to read.
Making it a lifestyle rather than just a one-time
Right.
event once a year or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
we don't believe in like one-day celebrations. We believe in month-long or year-long.
by the way, you're hot.
Oh, stop. See, there he goes. He's flirting.
No,
already.
really.
Okay, stop
hot.
it. From our book, Married for a Purpose, we're going to go to week 21. Those of you that have the book, you can actually turn there and read along.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we just want to give some highlights to maybe some best practices for you as you date. So if you scroll through our text messages, and you really will, you'll find sporadic messages like, hey, babe, what you doing tonight? Or, hey, you want to sneak away together? Or, hey, sexy, I miss you. What do
Yes to all those questions.
Yeah. What are you doing later? We constantly are sending flirty notes, causing us both to chuckle. We flirt in the kitchen.
Yes.
We flirt over our morning cup of coffee.
Yes.
When our kids frequently do this too. They bust us flirting. They'll roll their eyes, but they are the very first to suggest a date night if they start sensing that we're frustrated or fatigued.
Yep.
So for us, dating is a bit interesting. After all, we're together all the time. Does a couple who are together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, really need a date night? Absolutely. So what constitutes a date night, and what important factors, if I could talk today,
You're all right.
need to be included? So dating prioritizes making room for personal connection. It includes the opportunity for a little one-on-one time to dream together. Dating involves flirting, dressing to impress, and an attitude of seeking common ground for compatibility and friendship. It involves intentionally putting one's best foot forward, yet relaxing enough to enjoy one another's company. The date should appeal to both, even if it's specifically designed with one spouse's interest in mind. Now, you can actually, there's a whole week application, a prayer, a scripture that you guys can meditate on for dating your spouse for week 21. But Greg, let's just talk about dating and what that actually looks like.
Well, since we're in a parenting series right now,
Right.
and it's Valentine's Day, then let's take the angle from the kids' perspective at first. And we mentioned that in that particular devotional, that our kids like you're right. I mean, as you were reading that, or
Right.
They'll roll their eyes when we're flirting.
They will.
And we do flirt constantly. I mean, and it's intentional, but it's also now a habit, really,
Right.
of just enjoying one another and keeping life light. And we laugh a lot together. I mean, we really, even when we find ourselves getting really tense and things getting too stressed, like one of us will crack a joke.
Usually it's him. He's always making me laugh.
But intentionally, just to break the tension or do something really bizarre, like really bizarre. Our kids are all the time like, oh my Lord, if people could get to peek inside of how really crazy, idiotic you guys are sometimes, they would just crack up. They wouldn't be able to believe it. But anyway, the kids really do encourage us to go on a date night. They know what kind of fruit that it brings forth in our relationship, and they support it. Like, they really get it. They want us to take a date night each week.
Yep, and if we start getting frustrated or moody, they'll say, you guys need to go out on a date.
They really will. They'll suggest it. They'll be like, you guys need a date night. So I just think that that's an important thing. And the reason that it's important to us, and the reason it's important to us to mention it to you, is because, our kids are going to model what they see in marriage. And so if we can't laugh at ourselves a little bit, if we're not secure enough within ourselves that we can laugh at each other and laugh at ourselves in the positive sense, if you will, then it kind of sets them up for, not being able to do that as well. So we want to make sure that we're modeling those kind of things out in our home. And just that we model good, healthy fun in a relationship and flirting, because we want our kids to flirt with their spouses, right?
Yep. And prioritizing one another.
Yes.
In parenting is probably one of the best habits that we have practiced over the years and have learned that, because look, there's different seasons of life. When they're little, there's a lot of demands. We still made room on a really tight budget for each other.
Oh, absolutely.
So sometimes it takes a lot more creativity and a lot more intentionality to have that date time. But we want to encourage you to make sure that in your dating, you're prioritizing one another. It's a great thing to model out in front of your kids, that they know that, look, he comes first, I come first, and when we're strong, then we're better and stronger parents. So in your dating, though, make sure that you're having time for connection, that it is a time for you to share and dream together. I hate going out on a date, and we'll still fall into this habit. Sometimes we'll be on our phone because there's last minute details. And so we try to make it a practice and a discipline to put down the phone.
I don't think she hates it as bad as I hate it.
Yeah, he hates it. Or like if you're at a restaurant, try to get in a place where there's not a TV, because the temptation is for our eye to gravitate towards the movement that's there. So
unless your date night is watching a game together at a sports bar or something, a lot of folks do that, and that's all good. But the point is to really try to do something intentionally that causes connection and fellowship and a deepening of your relationship together.
Yep. And if you're stuck on what to do for a date night, we have a common interest survey on our website. So go to marriedforapurpose.com and you can actually sign up there and find some private resources that are available on that site where you can take a common interest survey. And we encouraged, even this last week at the conference, for couples to do that individually and then share what they put, circle the ones that are in common, and plan a date night around that.
Yeah.
And then another way to utilize that tool is to find what's on your spouses, what they enjoy doing, and surprise them with a date. So I think that captures it for dates.
Yeah.
And prioritizing it in parenting.
I do want to come back to just one little thing that you mentioned about the hierarchy. And I think it's just so important. We communicate to our kids. It's not infrequent that I say, and I mean, I don't go around pounding it all the time, you know what I mean? But it's not infrequent that I might say something, mama comes first, you know what I mean? And the kids understand, that I come first with Julie as well. And I mention this and I reiterate it only because we've seen and heard so many couples that really have struggled with this and wondered what the right thing to do is. And a good friend of mine and somebody we talked to recently, I can't remember who it was, put it the best. One of these days the kids are going to move on. They're going to move out. They're going to find spouses of their own, we hope, and live happily ever after. And they're going to do what they should do, which is create their own family and create their own life. And they're going to be out of the nest. But we're still going to be here. If all goes well, we're still going to be here. And so it's just important that we make sure that we demonstrate that hierarchy well, because if the kids rule the roost, the roost is going to be chaotic, and it will cause a lot of issues within your marriage too. So make sure you got that priority straight. That it's not just something you talk about, but it's something that you live out. Your kids will respect you for it. They will.
Hey, happy Valentine's Day. Don't be stressed by the holiday. Just make it a time for connection.
You bet.
Until next week.
I'm Greg.
And I'm Julie Gorman.
We'll see you next round.